So in this module, we're going to talk about renewables, and I picked an image that I thought would contain at least a few. Here we have wind energy and solar, but probably better is this graphic that combines many of the renewables. So we have over here on the left hydropower, the idea of a dam or weir and a stream. We have wind power. We have geothermal, extraction of heat from the earth. We have solar panels. Um, Extracting sunlight and energy, and possibly consider the vegetation as being something to extract energy from also. Probably a more consolidated visual description of this idea of renewables is this idea of solar, sun shining on panels on the earth to create electricity, hot water, um, cooking, wind energy, hydropower, the motion of water from high to low locations. And then we have biomass, things like what grows then being converted into energy. Um, Tidal, the movement of the moon causing changes in water levels, and geothermal, the idea of extracting heat from the earth. One of the ways to step back and think about most of our renewables, if not all of them, at some point they come from solar energy, the energy of the sun. And with that, I mean, um, obviously, we know the sun striking the earth causes warmth. That warmth creates different pressure differentials and drives our wind system. It moves moisture through precipitation and creates our resources for hydropower. And through photosynthesis, it creates biomass for us to then reuse and convert into energy for specific uses. And possibly you could think of tidal and geothermal as eventually having come from the sun, but on much different geological timescales. The idea that the moon is circulating and changing water levels, and the iron core of the earth um, um, creating heat energy that we extract. But we do have geothermal that may actually be extracting heat from just the latent warming of soil in our climate from the sun. So here's a link to an energy systems map, and I'll click on it so we can go to it quickly. I thought it was some really nice, useful resources. Talks about where all of our production of energy, our transportation, our conversion of it. So this is really the whole motion of energy through our system. So I would invite you to kind of click through this. Yeah, here we have energy creating fossil fuels, coal being one of them, and then the idea of how it's produced and utilized. So it's that web of energy as it moves through our modern society. And then finally, just on the just introductory section, um, for us as architects, another aspect of this use of renewable energy is basically how much carbon we're using, how we're embodying carbon in our building products, how much carbon dioxide is released when we're manufacturing our buildings or building. Carbon dioxide is an outgassing of the production of cement, etc. So there's plenty of things for us to keep in mind when we look at this idea of trying to utilize renewable resources in our building environment. And perhaps one of the things I failed to mention in the very first slide is that buildings consume an incredible amount of energy directly towards this idea of architecture. We, as our whole carbon footprint of basic energy consumption, the built form, our buildings, the heating and cooling of them constitutes 40% of the energy that's used globally. So we have a great incentive to look at ways to conserve and use resources that do not create a carbon footprint. And next we'll pick up on solar.